my account be there? That's weird.
It's too weird. It's very weird.
Record. Says it's recording. It's supposed to talk to me, but oh well. I'm just gonna check one more time and then we can get started. I'm sorry, guys.
No problem.
So tonight I am your acting chair, unofficially voted in the last non-quorum meeting.
Okay.
So we can revisit that, and there needs to be a vice chair as well. But that'll be C that we get to. We had a couple things, Jay, that we added to the agenda, which was who's replacing Petra, like as our more permanent liaison planner,
Mhm,
and then grants and funding deadlines.
mhm.
So those are the two things.
Welcome to get her done. Everybody needs it.
Well, I appreciate that you, who are very busy as the divisions manager, are willing to sit in here with us and do this.
Of course.
So thank you for that, and thank you all for your time here. We could be any place else in the world. And we're
Share my picture. They're on the floors upstairs. They're,
Incredible.
they've been sanded, but they haven't been some.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy.
so beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Willamette Grange.
Oh, wow. Oh, that came out nice. What is that?
It's from Doug Fir.
Original
Oh,
floor,
look
right?
at
Yep.
that.
Nice.
It's gorgeous.
Killer. Absolutely.
Lord.
Well, I found the November minutes, but I don't think we have minutes from December, do we?
No, I don't believe you met in December, or you did.
We did, because I got nominated and pushed in,
Okay.
not pushed into, invited into the chair position. So we
Okay.
did meet, but I don't know that anybody took notes.
We should definitely have meeting minutes. I'm sure that Morgan put them someplace. I just
Okay.
didn't see that in their notes.
Okay,
So my apologies. I'll make sure that we get those out to you tomorrow so that at our next meeting you can
okay, awesome.
move forward with that.
All right, so that's our welcome. Oh, look, do we have a person?
Hi, good night.
We have a person leaving.
Oh, I couldn't unlock the door.
How long do you want to be able to open it?
Probably till 8.
Until 8?
Yeah,
Okay, I will set up the timer.
you can do it. Okay, thank you. Maintenance guy's like, don't do what you just did.
What are you doing to the
Oh,
door?
he's the just
Oh, did you
absolute
wedge it?
best. I love him.
Did you wedge it?
I did.
Set off alarms and.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Poor Pedro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's call this meeting to order. And our first item is welcome and roll call. So who's here? Do we we have the list here. Who else is still active on the commission? So we have Mary Apollo, and she wrote to say that is she the one in another
We will not be
country?
present.
Yeah, Bruce is here, I'm here, Jay is here, Janet's here.
Mhm.
Autumn is in transit from the East Coast to here. Alex is online. So is that a quorum? 5 of us? Okay, awesome. So we have quorum. We can do official business. And we don't have, these are the November minutes review and approval, so. I have it on my phone. Do you guys have access to the November minutes?
I do. Yeah, I believe I reviewed, I believe I checked them out.
So are there any changes or additions or deletions that anyone notices? Oh, it wasn't December, it was the November one.
Okay. I was
Yeah,
Like, what?
Petra's like, no.
Uh, I can go print those out if you'd like.
That would be great.
Okay,
Okay.
do you wanna keep going and come
Can't
back to
find-
it?
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
We know how to do
This
stuff
will
like
take
that.
me about 5 minutes.
Okay, so at that meeting. Cause the next item is chair and vice chair, so let's see, what do we have here? Mary Full is the one who nominated me, and it was seconded by Autumn. And then I became chair. So if anyone else is interested in being chair,
So is this a temporary chair for next meeting or is this
no,
for
this is
the
for this
year?
year.
Okay, because Autumn's term is over.
Yep,
Okay, well, I mean. I would, I would nominate right now. Adrian to do it for next year because she's filling in pretty well right now and I mean, if she has the time to devote to it, she's very detail oriented. Yeah, all she can do is decline.
I won't decline,
And
but
I've been very impressed with her chairing thus far.
So.
so far tonight, it's great. We do need a second.
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 Okay, is there any discussion?
What does vice chair entail? Just for
Filling in essentially.
filling
when-
in for absence?
Yeah,
I nominate Bruce for vice.
Janet, do you feel like you want to fill the position?
No, I
No?
don't feel like.
Alex?
I mean, I'd be willing to do it for vice for the
Okay.
year.
do we have a
As we-
second? So you're
I can
nominated, who's seconding?
Second.
Okay. All right, let's just do a slate, because I didn't hear from Alex yet. All those in favor of the chair and vice chair nominations, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Of course not. Oh, because we all talked.
Can I ask, Alex, do you feel left out?
No.
Because we didn't address Alex, as a chair or, as a vice. Do you feel?
I agree with you. I'm in
Okay.
favor of the people who have been nominated, and I think those are great choices.
Okay,
Do not,
And I seem to remember Alex, who's saying, yeah, not yet.
exactly, exactly right.
okay.
Maybe
It's too
next year.
early for me, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, great. All right, and then I guess we're gonna wait for the minutes.
Yeah, you're gonna probably wanna come back to that.
And then we added 2 items to our agenda. Who's replacing you eventually? Do we have a candidate yet? And then grants and funding deadlines. So we can make those D1 and D2, I guess.
Just for the record, we may not get answers, but we can ask questions,
That's right.
have them on the minutes.
So. Actually, maybe we flip those upside down, because I think Historic Preservation Month will be a longer conversation. Than the interim planner position and grants and funding.
There's a template for tonight. Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just need to find the other ones wherever they're. Carry on. Get there eventually.
There's a ton of information in this November minutes, yeah.
Look at these.
Seems so long ago. To me.
Well, it was last year, I mean. It's been a year.
How many copies? Just for the 4 of you or?
Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
Alex, do you have the PDF of the minutes?
Yes, I do. I have it right in front of me.
Okay, fantastic.
Oh my gosh, you're so much more organized than I am.
I could share it on the screen if you're able to view the screen. I don't-
We have.
We'll have printed copies here in just a
We got it,
moment.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
That would have worked too.
Yeah, that might have been more efficient, but you know. I like chopping down trees and having basil.
Yeah.
Recycling.
Paper, I still carry it around as the millennials and Gen Ys roll their eyes, my little folders like I have here, this kind of stuff, that's gone. It's for the old people.
And my daughter dropped me off tonight and she's 39 and
Yeah.
I was like, honey,
I
why
like
did you-
little pads like that, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
have. I love a little
I was
book
like,
with
what did you
me.
come up and do with the old people? And she's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go home and be old. Not that we're old, but we're definitely older than she is.
Mhm,
Thank you.
mhm.
But you know, those Gen Y and whatever comes after that, all those kids, they
Whatever
do
comes-
like journals.
Yeah, yeah, but
They do
Are
like
they
journals.
I can
electronic?
staple them, so you.
Okay.
I was just talking with the archivists on campus. And they need some old folks to help transcribe things because young folks
Yes.
can't read cursive.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, they were never taught cursive, interesting.
yeah.
They stopped doing that, I heard they did.
I actually ran into the woman who's in charge of that program, who is also a member of Conundrum House, and I didn't recognize her because she let her hair grow in the last 2 years and
I've heard
like
about,
just.
yeah, I mean, I heard they're coming into college, many of them not able to read either, or write essays, so.
Okay.
We'll see.
Social commentary,
Yeah.
yes. All right, here we go. So let's start with the planner question. Do we have any candidates?
I reviewed, just today, a slate of 7 for next week's initial interviews.
Oh my gosh, that's
We
exciting.
got 30 applications, and so it looks like there's some real great potential in there. I will definitely be asking a question about historic resources, their interest, experience and such, because I want that to be a component of their work.
As do we. As do we. Well, that's very
Well,
exciting news.
furthermore, I mean, for a planner, to facilitate a meeting and set up electronic devices will also probably be a good requirement.
Well,
I
help us-
am very accustomed to the planning commission meetings where we have tech. So it's been over a year since I've actually hosted a Zoom meeting at a public meeting.
You see it with the city planners too. I mean, it's my assumption that the city and county would have a tech assistant come in and set up, but they don't.
Yeah.
So the planners are struggling with, technical issues, and you're just like, wait, I'm a planner, so, but they do well, they do.
Yeah, it's hard to facilitate and take notes and do all that business
Right.
together or troubleshoot.
Right.
Which, yeah, anyway, okay.
Awesome. So we have 7 candidates, and what level of candidates are there? Are these all senior level or?
They're associate and or assistant, so we may be able to hire a second person as well. Because we have the vacancy budget to cover 2 positions. I would prefer to have associate level to associate level, but if we do get an assistant, we'll probably need to come up with a different solution for this meeting. The interim director doesn't think it's appropriate for an assistant to be staffing these meetings as Morgan was. So just a different policy decision.
Okay,
Above my pay grade.
Yeah.
okay. All right, that's good to know. So, and when do you anticipate closing on an offer at some point? Do you have a timeline already set up?
Yeah, hopefully by the second week of February.
Okay,
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
all right. So who knows, maybe by the next meeting, there'll be a new person on your payroll that we eventually get to meet.
exactly. Very motivated for you.
That's awesome. And that leads into the next, Inga used to vet the grants and funding deadlines and things for us. So
Okay.
how do we handle that now? Because there's no one here who really has,
I'm connected into the CLG program.
okay,
I did run that program in another jurisdiction, and so I have not seen anything come out immediately, but I know that the cadence of that is every 18 months. So it's a strange grant cycle. We should anticipate in another $15,000 the next round, but I don't think that we're eligible yet since the last round.
Okay,
So I will absolutely handle all the contracting and reporting and I don't have.
For the
you don't have to worry
CLG.
about a thing.
now, and I know she spoiled us, but Inga also went out and found other historic resources kinds of
Oh, yeah.
granting programs. Is
Mhm.
that another thing we can?
I've been keeping track
Okay.
on all of the distribution websites and public sites for those opportunities. And so I can tell you that actually today, the Oregon Parks, I think it's Oregon Parks, have put out some of their grant opportunities.
Okay,
Is that a link to those? Is that something that you'd like to see?
yes, please.
Okay. And there is a historic resources category.
Excellent.
Sure.
So any of those that you run across, please just pepper us with the links and we can do a lot of the research. It's just we don't necessarily have access to the actual
Yeah, no problem.
stuff. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
That's great. And we can talk about this a little more later, but Spectre's Past relies on that grant funding. So right now we don't have any funding for that program. So we may have to push off into the next year if we can't find.
Well, also in the budget, although it's not itemized in our biennial budget, I did request 10,000 additional dollars for this program. So that was funded. Now, however, since I am in a different position, I'm no longer the interim community development director, I will need to touch base with Gary Stockoff, who's in that role at this
Okay.
time,
All right.
to release those funds. But I wanted to let you know that the intention was that there's additional $10,000 available for the first time in addition to the CLG grant.
That is fantastic. All right. So then we have some budgeting to do and decisions
That's
to
coming
make.
From county funds, that's coming from county.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's general fund money that comes directly to the community development department.
Have we
Okay.
had that before?
No, I
Hey.
Way to go.
I put it in there.
Thank you.
But again, that's not to say that there is a different policy direction on a lot of different fronts. I will need to talk to him.
So it may or may not be available to our programming.
He may.
Change his mind about where it goes.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
So just my obligatory.
Okay, we'll just say tentatively.
Uh-huh.
Just make sure you frame it like it's been going on for years.
That would.
Anyway,
Wouldn't lying make our lives easier?
not mine, but you know.
Bureaucrats like myself.
Right.
Here.
Right, okay, all right. Excellent. Well, we just is there any anything anybody wants to say, especially Alex, because we can't see you and except your big
No,
black and
I'll-
white.
Well, same here. I can't see you guys either. But I will chime in as necessary. So, don't worry. I'm
Okay,
shy.
awesome. I like that you're not shy. All right, shall we drop into Historic Preservation Month programming then?
Let's do.
And oh, wrong one. Let's see. We just gave us. So what did we have from November? Oh, does somebody want to do the minutes thing first?
Well, there was some discussion on Preservation Month in November,
Quite a
item
bit.
item E, so let's go
But
through that.
okay, before we move
The
to,
minutes you saying?
yeah, approve the
Well,
minutes.
yeah, as we're discussing, so
Okay.
we're about to discuss this, so let me just get a quick look.
Okay,
here.
yeah. Mhm. Who's in that? Was Jessica actually in the meeting or was, no?
Yeah, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
most of the work will fall on commissioners' shoulders this year, since Morgan won't be there.
I'm volunteering myself.
Petra is the planning division manager and
It-
doesn't really have much time to
I
allocate.
have capacity for you.
Okay.
I've
Good.
carved out capacity. I
Yeah.
definitely wanna prioritize.
I love someone who can manage their calendar. I am not that person. That's really
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, I just, I need to rely on you to provide me with some instruction on what your needs are, and I will gladly oblige.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Oh, we have a new PIO officer in Benton County now too.
That's right. Mhm.
So,
She's fabulous.
What's PIO? Sorry.
public information office.
Usually comes from a journalism background, but maybe not necessarily these days.
I think she's marketing. I
Okay.
think she's heavily marketing.
Yeah, and I think she has a PhD.
Yep, so there you go.
She's a pretty impressive woman too. She came to the courthouse preservation committee
Okay.
meeting
Yeah.
and we were thrilled because we have a big job ahead of us, right? And we'll talk about that later today too.
What's her name?
What is her name?
Anne Thwaites, yes. And there is also additional support staff this year as well. So there's 2 other support staff folks in the PIO office.
Okay,
So we're huge improvement from last year.
I thought that document that you included in the emails was interesting, you know, taking the tech about communication. Very interesting. I haven't read it all, but I liked what I was seeing.
Okay, good.
Hmm.
well, trade schools in here. Oh, and this was probably me who said the $8 million cost for the courthouse, it's 38 million.
Hmm.
32 to 38 for the seismic and ADA upgrades.
Mhm. On that front, I can share, I was asked by the assistant county administrator to brainstorm some additional ideas since they seem to have exhausted the options for that amount. And so I did provide the county a white paper on some other brainstorming ideas for financing, including private market financing, or international as well. So I gave them a list of about 20 resources that are interested specifically in historic preservation investments. I'm not sure what they intend to do with that, but
Is that a list you can share?
Of course.
Yeah. That would be really good.
Mhm. Thank you.
Interested in investment, what kind of resource again? Like in what way?
So
what-
private investors
Yeah.
that invest in large historic resource
Okay.
buildings,
Commercial.
structures,
Yeah,
commercial,
okay.
yeah, development opportunities.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Okay, now that we've read through this, besides the dollar figure change, for the courthouse. Are there any other changes to the?
Well,
minutes?
I think we should maybe discuss the minutes for 5 minutes because there's a tremendous amount of discussion from November about Historic Preservation Month.
Yeah,
A lot of work was done in November. A lot of input, really good input was given into November about how we should move from here where we are now to there.
Mhm.
And it would maybe be not very useful for us to ignore that. There's a lot here.
okay,
Yeah, I can add before we start that we have confirmed I have confirmed with Rochelle Hoffman of the Corvallis Museum that we do have May 30th, Saturday reserved. We have the facility. We haven't found a band. We haven't, there's no one person that's confirmed. The same band is booked as last year. So someone should definitely be designated to that. Someone should definitely be designated to lining up vendors. I'm beginning to work on that. So I'd be happy to take that area. Someone should talk with facilities about 6-foot tables for these vendors. I was just at an event at the museum a few days ago that had a band in the front lobby as you walked in, and it worked really well. Worked really well. And then you took a right and down that hallway, 6-foot tables with the vendors. Enter the room, there's the room.
Yeah.
They're happy to help set up. So
Let's mark it
let's just,
that way.
yeah, we have a facility. So a lot of discussion here was about that event and how it should essentially build and copy some of last year, but then build on it with the event itself, with the tours, with how the event essentially was structured, but then there was good input from Alex, Commissioner Kirschbaum about just kind of focusing, maybe making our focus of how these resources are part of our community and they're not just a building, right? And that's been part of what I've tried to do with tours, to tell stories, to maybe connect them to our community more, people building people. I can see this discussion, and so that's just a really good theme. I like that theme a lot.
Mhm.
And then, talking about, Wade Hardware is mentioned here.
Mhm.
They'd be a great guest, someone speaking from that family, or just that, what they had to do to try to hold on and keep that space, the oldest commercial space in Corvallis.
Mhm.
Anybody else see anything that they want to kind of reiterate
Well,
that was said in November?
I was thinking a good next step, talking about, how these structures are still so relevant to our community might be to reach out to some of those, business owners and people who are using these spaces and see if they would like to be part of a tour or, at least join one of our events. I'm not sure what the best way of doing that would be, but it would be great to involve some of these community members if they would be willing to.
Yeah, that would be great. Business owners of historic commercial spaces,
Or
resources
or residing in the spaces.
residing in the space.
Yeah.
What makes
Those
sense to connect
So
with?
also residential owners, you're saying?
Mhm.
I think if
I
we-
love that
I think-
idea. It's just kind of a different ball game. It's kind of with the tours. I always wish I could go in.
Yeah, of course,
Come
right?
on, let me see the kitchen, so I love that idea.
I think there are definitely homeowners, some homeowners who would love to do that.
We used to have that trolley tour
Yeah,
where they drive around and talk about historic homes.
yeah. Well, and then we have, oh my God, I can see your face. I hate having ADHD because I cannot.
I have another question is to what capacity is the city's Historic Resource Commission involved in assisting with the planning of Preservation Month in any way? Is there any way we could get them to devote some of their resources as well to it? I
We
can
did
take that to
last year.
them next year and try to ask,
Yeah.
is there anything specifically we would like us to take to them for them to kind of embrace and maybe take over?
For 2 years ago, it was
You know,
that we had,
Be accountable for
yeah,
doing, I could, why don't I take that to the city and try to find some individuals that will commit to making sure the band is there, to making sure the tables will be there with facilities, to making sure facilities are ready. I'd like to be able to work with anybody I can, and I already have a few emails out to get vendors to commit, craftspeople that, tradespeople, craftspeople. So we have windows, I saw furniture restoration mentioned.
yeah, Autumn has a.
Jay, you know some of these craftspeople, some of these contractors.
Yeah.
Let's get a hold of them. And I'm gonna be starting to find, I'll commit to finding as many in the community as I can, that work on historic windows, that work on floors. You know, that
Yeah.
HVAC, you know, HVAC in a 1922 home alone is unbelievable. And, you know, if someone has solutions, let them bring them,
Yeah.
you know?
We can contact the people that have worked with us. You know, we haven't really used, preservation specialists. You know, we used, an insulator and a drywall installer and a painter, you know, but they weren't like specialized into restoration.
Right.
You know, we told them what we wanted.
Yeah.
And then, we've been doing most of our own window work. And then, you know, the HVAC was, you know, they knew what we wanted to do and worked with us, and that was, I'll think about it in a minute. I don't know if they'd be particularly, attracted to, presenting themselves as historic preservation resources, but they worked with us well.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. You know, anybody that wants to be at a 6 foot table with some, you know, brochures and some cards and
I can
stories and maybe some demonstrations behind them, you know, a window company with a
Mhm.
double hung sitting behind them on a stand that they can talk about the
Yeah.
munions and the
You know,
minions.
probably the ones that worked with us
The
most.
bullions and the munions? I just learned all that.
The one that worked with us most in preserving the appearance of the building would be the people that did the roof. You know, and so.
Absolutely.
You know, they might be interested. That was a pretty small company, you know, so.
Sure, sure.
So there's also typically at the, every 2 years is the it's not convention, but the historic. I went there 2 years ago. What is it called? It's Oregon wide.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
What's it called?
You know.
Maybe it's age and not
It's a
ADHD.
SHPO thing, right?
No, yeah.
Well, SHPO's a part of it, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, there's a ton of preservation workers, contractors and whatnot, and some of them are very entertaining.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe what I could do is reach out to Curry Gill and ask her for a list of who
Yeah.
has
And
presented in the past and see if they know anybody local or if they'd be willing to come down or up, depending on where they are.
Mhm.
So I'll reach out to Curry
Don't forget over.
and
Yeah.
over,
And then
yeah.
if it's regarding vendors, just send an email to me, just report to me, give me a lead, and I'll keep following up, so.
Now, have you accessed the drive that's open to what we're working on right now?
I have not.
Okay, so I would love for everyone, it's a request, but there's also just like this driving desire to have everyone access that because we have
Can you
information.
send us the link again? Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's an editable Google Drive about the event.
not just the event, but our committee, all kinds of
Mhm.
really relevant.
We saw it last time when Morgan was looking at stuff. Yeah.
Relevant information. Now, one thing that's not in there yet is Autumn is sitting on a whole pile of files that she hasn't moved into that drive yet, but there's enough to get you started and really starting to be able to reach out to people and yada yada, right?
Did you say you, this group has a SharePoint account? Did you say SharePoint or?
No, it's a Google Drive.
Oh,
And and that was shared to us by, it might have been the Courthouse Preservation Committee, but I'll share it with you guys because it's all the same thing. The
Yeah.
courthouse is kind of at the center of.
I'm very new to Google Drive stuff, so yeah.
We
Give me
haven't,
everything I need to know.
Okay, all right. And maybe we could do a session if we need to, how to access it, update.
So the thing you were thinking of was the Oregon Heritage Conference.
That Oregon Heritage Conference, it's really a fabulous conference, and if we can send somebody, is it this year?
There's
Yes.
this thing says April 29 to May 2.
Is it
We
important?
should send one or two people,
Is that Portland?
It's in Woodburn.
it depends, yeah,
Nice.
it changes every year. But Jessica typically goes, Jessica Haugen,
Mhm.
and she'll probably take Anya, or
Yeah.
who's the new person at the museum? You just said her
Which
name.
position?
Rochelle Hoffman.
Yeah, so one or two of the folks from the museum typically go, and then there's often historic property owners from Corvallis and Benton County go to that too.
Mhm.
But what it says on their website is designed to be interdisciplinary and cross-pollinating. The conference focuses on all sectors of cultural heritage, such as historic preservation, museums, archives, libraries, main streets, historic cemeteries, archaeology, tribes, genealogy, public history, local, state, and federal government.
What's that called again?
The Oregon Heritage Conference.
It's amazing.
As soon as you identify, I'm sorry,
Oh, and their subtitle this year is Stories, Culture, Place, hyphen, Weaving Community Heritage.
nice. When you have the names, generally the county will sign up for them on their behalf. Is that what's happened in the past?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
All right, so as soon as you have names, why don't you go ahead and send those to me and I'll make sure that Meg, who's our new executive assistant, registers you all and does the paperwork for
And
you.
how many of us can go?
I'll ask Gary.
Okay.
But,
How about we say, we ask who's interested? I'm always
Yeah.
interested.
I'm interested.
okay,
I don't know what it is.
I'll
but
have to check my schedule.
Okay.
When
it
when
is a fabulous
Okay.
conference.
April 29 to May 2. And Curryville is the contact.
I'll see her tomorrow. On Zoom. We have a Coos Day project.
I also see from the minutes in November,
Mhm.
inviting the Art Center was suggested.
Yeah.
Peter Meyer, the architect of Philomath Museum
Yep.
Master Plan suggested. So I see another section, column for someone to take over and commit to, and that is our guest speakers, our possible guest speakers,
Mhm.
including possible very short awards for stewards of properties, both commercial and residential, around the city.
So I'll take on the speakers.
Okay.
And the awards come from the organizations themselves.
Yeah, and they're subjective, but they're usually not controversial because they're just
No,
usually unanimous.
All I'm saying is they're already thinking about it, so
Okay,
I'll just
okay.
reach out to
Good.
all the
Great.
groups and
Great.
we'll go from there.
Yeah, sounds good.
And what are you thinking about the speakers, like at the end thing or what?
As
Or-
part of the program.
But not throughout the month at a single.
No, this is the preservation
You're talking
month
about on the 30th.
event on the
Yeah,
30th.
on the 30th.
Yeah.
So we typically have a keynote. And we may have one other speaker.
Right, and then, we, as,
And then we
based
have
on last year,
awards.
we have time, for a couple awards and letting that steward of the
Mhm.
resource speak briefly, maybe show a couple slides of the restoration they did, or, we
Okay.
can just, we'll put it together. There was time.
Can I ask a question that sort of circles back?
Yeah.
So is there a connection with people in the county who do the tours downtown already?
There's a lot of private resident people who do a lot of them every single year.
Yeah, so is there a connection with
Both.
them or not, or I don't know?
Totally unrelated. There are private operators, for profit, that, conduct tours, and
Yeah.
then there are.
Doesn't Benton County?
There are commissioners with both the city and the county, and people have worked with preservation in the past that conduct tours on their own.
Okay.
Based on the city and county's materials that
Would
have
it
been
make
produced.
sense to include them in this or not? I don't
Oh,
know.
they'll know.
I mean, to include them as part of the program.
They'll be there. They're there every year. These
I mean, to
people.
say, ask them to do something. Sorry, it might not make sense. I'm new to this.
Yeah, I mean.
Well,
what-
that's
your suggestion?
an interesting
Yeah.
question,
So-
because one of the things we need to leverage May for is the courthouse's new job. Because in 20 months or less, it will no longer have a job and we cannot have that building sitting empty and rotting. So the preservation committee is looking for a single solid concept for reuse and then a couple others. But a single solid one whose story is so compelling that the $38 million price tag is less of a challenge than it is at this moment. Because even if you looked at that building for reuse as offices, say, there is nobody I know who's gonna spend 38 million to retrofit that building to rent out office space. It's a steep price tag. So we're grappling with what is the cultural story, what is the place now for that to to be able to get it funded in such a way that it's because people see a future there, not just the past. So that's what we're looking at from a storytelling perspective, but we do need to use Preservation Month as a tool for starting, launching that marketing, which hopefully we'll be creating with our new PIO and
But what do you envision? You envision a series of symposiums where the community shows up and says it should be this, it should be, I mean,
Something-
workshops, I mean, I don't.
something like that. So there's already been a study. There were three recommendations, two recommendations that the third one became a mixture of, but there was no solid, like, this is a good use for this building. This is where you're gonna find funding for this building. Like, there wasn't the extra stages. So we're left, the committee, the preservation committee is left with, okay, where do we invest the funds that we have to actually bring this to a fine point so that building is used from a historic perspective, but also a useful cultural, like,
Yeah, we
pleasant
need to know
day.
whose decision that will be.
with the commissioners.
The county commissioners?
The county commissioners ultimately, but they're counting on the preservation committee to come up with that recommendation. So, and we have some money to invest in professional help to get us there.
Okay.
But we need the entire community to be engaged in that conversation.
So is this
And-
similar to Monroe? Sort of the stuff going on in Monroe, there's a meeting in a couple of weeks, next week or the week after, talking about the new plan for Monroe Avenue and stuff like that. They went through this whole process where there's online voting and
Yeah,
and stuff.
it can be like that. I mean, they've already done a whole bunch of that survey in the first study, but now it's gotta be more of a concentrated focus groups and, I say, but I don't know. This is a huge project.
Is this a project of the county commission itself right now in
Yeah.
any way?
Yeah.
And which members of the commission, which commissioners are
Gabe,
taking
The
that?
same,
Okay,
the same
okay.
Then
commissioner.
I'm sure we'll hear a little bit of that as if Commissioner Shepherd is present. If not, then, we'll get that from them.
Where this could easily be.
Because we did
chaos.
shift right into that, which is another animal. That's the big one. I mean, we went straight
It's a-
from
it's a
Historic
huge animal.
Preservation Month to the courthouse. And so.
But we need to leverage every opportunity for the courthouse because it is the biggest property that is on the Benton County
So your
registry.
suggestion is something that night, May 30th. Something is related to the courthouse that night, but we just don't know.
Or,
what it is.
yes, and what is that conversation? If we're talking town square, for
It's
example,
not that night. I mean, at an hour.
it's a launch to a conversation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what we're
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for, is a launch to a
So
conversation.
maybe to launch that symposium,
Yeah.
to launch that
Yeah.
discussion, that,
Yeah.
and then also, would the county, for example, preside over some kind of a poll, that was done by the city, that came out to people through Facebook and all these arenas, and
So
hey, once those symposiums are conducted and there are some ideas, then would the county commit to, probably, Gabe would know, to, let's find out what the county wants, let's do a big poll into the community and,
No,
see the
so
stories.
that's already happened. We've already produced a report. We've already presented to the commissioners. They have not had time because they are actually, quite frankly, worried primarily about the landfill
Sure.
and other things like
Sure.
that. So even though we as a committee know that we're on a limited timeline, we don't have a lot of time to figure out how to leverage get the courthouse to where it needs to be.
Adrian, do you have a budget for the committee?
We do, and again,
I'm not asking the number. just-
yeah, we have a budget.
And during Historic Preservation Month, do you think it would be practical to have some kind of event
That's a
that,
good
that
idea,
had
right there.
perhaps.
There you go, yeah.
That perhaps had a consultant to guide the people that came.
That's a great
And,
idea. Okay.
conversations,
This is why I brought
dots,
this up.
dots on the maps, brainstorming, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
that kind of event.
Something,
And have it
Real,
be,
yeah.
have it be a part and parcel of Historic Preservation Month that fits
Yep.
perfectly.
Yep.
And so I don't know what a consultant for that, or maybe the county has somebody that has consultation creds.
No, we were prepared to spend money on a firm.
Okay.
We vetted the firm and they weren't appropriate. So we're still looking for another firm that specifically works with historic resources of this size, which is why your list is just like, oh my God, I really need that list. Cause this is the conversation we're having now. So then when we hire
Yeah.
the next,
So if we hit a date and you
Yeah.
know, and a place, I don't know, is there an appropriate and available part of the courthouse to have it in? In
no,
the courtroom perhaps?
no, not until it's empty.
That's too bad.
I mean, all we have is the jury room. That is the only space that you can get into, which is, you know, it's not that it's nothing, but it's not enough.
That jury training room. that
Yeah,
part in
just
the
off
front,
the,
Yeah, that's not that big.
no. No, I mean, we have groups that we're targeting to bring into the courthouse and even getting those groups and like us, we asked to go tour the courthouse. We still don't have a date as this group to be able to go into tour.
Is it because nobody wants to take the time to
No,
facilitate
no.
that kind of scheduling?
It's because it is operating at such a high level. The courtrooms are closed. Any of the spaces upstairs or downstairs, unless you're a special visitor, are closed. All of that needs to be scheduled. And they're on a skeleton crew. There's 2 people at the courthouse. The maintenance people are the ones who have to coordinate all this stuff. So Paul is our primary person. And it really is a challenge for him because it is a because it's a justice house,
Yeah, we need to see just.
there is zero access to certain parts of
Well,
it.
whomever is scheduling those trials, you know, would maybe be a resource to that.
I
Like,
don't think so. Those are people who are in the justice system or the
Yeah.
law and order stuff. They have nothing to do with
They don't have,
public
activity on
interface.
weekends, or do they?
What's that?
Weekends, are they just functional in the weekends?
They're not, but the staff also is not functional on
Okay.
weekends.
That's
But
wonderful.
we're gonna talk to Paul. We're gonna try to work through this.
Survival of the courthouse should ought to trump something.
yeah, it's a
You know?
public building. It's also, it's like, you know,
You would think that honestly, the court system has precedence.
Yeah,
okay,
So it's really, I mean, the idea is to take small groups from entities that would be interested, let's say,
yeah,
OSU's Department of Humanities, right? That works with civil kinds of things and whatnot, you know, just 4 or 5 people. We can maybe see the hallway.
who is the ultimate head of the courthouse?
Probably somebody, some judge.
Not just.
it's either the DA or the facilities person, whoever's like.
No, they're not the,
No? Okay, well,
no.
yeah, that's a good question, Jay. Yeah, you know, who's in charge
Right,
of the
typically
courthouse?
it's the judges who manage, like,
They're-
they don't manage, but they're the ones,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you know,
And then the DA is rung number 2, and then Paul and the facilities management is, you know, essentially in the basement.
Each of those,
But without him, there is no building.
Paul's your guy.
each of the judges have got their place.
Yeah.
Their little place,
Yeah.
but it seems like there's somebody that you'd be able to say, what we're asking for is special permission on a weekend to save the
I'll talk to
courthouse.
Paul. I'll talk to Paul and see what he says.
Has Paul been
Night after
supportive of looking at options or?
Oh, yeah.
What's the reaction? Okay,
They're just spread
yeah.
so mega thin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like every other department now in the county. You talk to Jesse Ott. Oh my God. Talk about a man who's like, can't even taste the jelly on the bread. He's spread so thin.
Oh, that was a good one.
Okay, well, that's county politics and county revenue issues, and we are not. the
So it's
commission
not the
itself,
courthouse,
So,
some other building.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you know, all the stuff that happens outside of the courthouse is fantastic, right? Whether it's the protests or the art shows or the tours that happen on the outside, because you can't go inside necessarily except during Preservation Month, during whatever slot they give. Her name's escaping me too. Anyway, it's just Ah,
Okay,
it's a
well,
big deal, but I love your idea. We'll pick a date
It seems like.
for a courthouse thing.
Yeah,
okay,
Yeah,
so for Preservation Month, to clean it up, we have 5 categories that I see. Give me feedback if anyone sees anything different. We have vendors, which I've committed to. We have the band, which I'm gonna bring to the city, report back in May, try to delegate that. We have facility, extra things like tables, make sure that's all set, bring that to the city, try to delegate that. We have guest speakers that Adrian's agreed to oversee, and also from November, we see in our minutes, you got Lee Eckroth that's, just redone a couple commercial buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Where the community now is part of them, and they're regenerating income for the owners, that kind of thing, and the community's liking them. Lori Stevens has always been really dependable with those projects. Look at the Henkel House right now, like, there could be something there. Wade Hardware Store, another, who's behind that could be a speaker, so. And then awards is number 5. And then those are stewards from around the city that we can all be thinking of. And also I will bring to the city and report back in February if there's any ideas of them to be thinking of as well. Because we would want to line up those couple recognitions as soon as we can to allow them to present, what they want to.
Mhm.
Get their media together and that kind of thing. Does that sound about right,
mhm.
Yes.
Alex?
Yeah,
And
I
this
hear you.
is-
That sounds good to me.
Okay,
And this is all aimed at the 30th.
this is about the 30th,
Right.
yes, so we can wrap up the discussion of Historic Preservation Month programming, and that, that was the night. Do we have anything else to add about the month itself?
Right, that's the thing.
I do have one question that occurred to me. Do we have an update from ODOT about the turning mechanism from the bridge?
oh, boy.
And I'm just curious, because if that is in
No,
place, that'd be.
no, it's not gonna be in place by May. No, the one area that they really wanted to do got turned down flat.
Which one was that? In between the bridges or?
It was, the floodplain on the eastern side of the
yeah.
river.
In Lynn County.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, and there was no place to park, to go over there and look at it.
Right,
So
not visible, and then the city turned down the alternate location, which was somewhere along
because there
the
were two
river
at
walk.
the meeting.
Yeah,
It was in between the bridges and there was also down at Michael's Landing. Did you
Right.
know both?
that both were turned down.
It just became an issue of,
Size.
city not really wanting to commit
Yeah.
to it, the land and all the responsibility of that right now. with
Yeah.
Whatever else is going on,
Hmm.
from what I gathered.
That's pretty much what I heard too.
Um,
So, yeah, the gears.
doesn't mean nothing's ever
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
happen.
It's
It
not.
just, something kind of got tabled a little bit. So
I think there's a
no
time
idea.
frame attached to it though.
Yeah,
And I know the museum is not gonna do anything with it. It's too,
There's no place to put it.
right, there's no place for the museum to house it at this point.
I still think a hologram over the old at night. It's the old bridge right there. But anyway, yeah, so,
Yeah, so that's the answer to the turning mechanism.
Thank you.
and then, keep in mind for the month that we have added for next month's minutes that, we have something around. Oh, around what you were just talking about, Adrian, kind of a symposium, a possible
Oh,
symposium.
yeah.
Day
Symposium.
or night
Mhm.
about the courthouse, a possible event that, we could somehow throw out to the community and get them interested in that.
Yep.
Is that, what confuses me about that is that if that's May 30th, will there be by May 30th some concrete things to talk, a symposium that
There will
couldn't come
be-
true would be kind of unuseful.
Yeah.
So feedback about what the current plan is, use ideas to enhance it or whatever that may be, because I
So
don't know.
the job between now and I'd say 60 days out, well, really 30 days out, is for us to identify what direction, first, what's missing from the previous study. Secondly, what direction do we want to take this? And we're talking from a cultural perspective, what place does this courthouse play in the present and the future while building on the past? What job can it have? So town square is one of those ideas. A cultural space is another concept. Museum, no, too much competition, won't work.
But there are some concepts on the table, and when you
There are
say we
concepts on
in
the table.
community at large.
Right, and so about 2/3 of the community has been tapped into this, which is where we got the information that those recommendations were made by the last organization. However, it's missing OSU. Didn't have much of a voice in that study. And then there were small businesses that did not have a voice in this study, particularly downtown.
Mhm.
Like, what is the best use case for that space for all of those?
Maybe that's a day.
Yeah,
Hey, downtown, come give your input, what the best use, but my only concern is any input, could it be viable? Could it come true? Like,
by then
what's-
we'll have a consultant who could guide that conversation, so.
that would be great, yes,
Yeah.
just the consultant themselves
Yeah.
and what's in play now with the county on that. And what could be done
And I
there.
can tell you what the commissioners are looking from us is a very clear concept. They don't want to have to think about it. And what the last report was, here, think about this.
Okay,
what
I
I'm
was always told ADA was a big issue and then with,
It is
so.
seismic and ADA, and that's
so-
why that price tag is so huge.
Okay.
Oh,
And go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had a quick question. I think I'm lacking some of the background in what has already been decided with the courthouse and just the details of
I am as well.
like who
Is everybody
who's
else in the
making the
loop on where we
decision?
are now? Like, could we
Yeah.
find that out for next week's next meeting, next minutes? Next month?
I wish Gabe was here because he would have the immediate answer because that report is sitting in their hands. Um,
So Alex, it sounds like that's the Benton County Commission. We need a report from them where they are right now.
I
And
think
let's
that would be
obtain
really
that.
helpful.
Let's
Yeah.
obtain that for next month's minutes.
And
Okay.
what they need and what they need from us, or what they would like to, I think we'll give them our feedback no matter what, but just specifically if there's certain areas that they need our help on.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. That would be, I think, to me, the most helpful, like just a report on kind of where we are and some of the details.
okay, I'll follow up with Gabe.
I think I'm unclear on, is the next use for it going to be something that is like a private use or is it a county?
I'm
We
unclear.
do not
Yeah.
know. That is
Okay.
the problem. And the county commissioners do not know.
Okay. So it's kind of still up for debate or up for ideas.
It's up for ideas. I'll put the entire courthouse packet together for you guys. It'll be in the Google folder. You can go through the whole thing. And you'll see exactly what's been done up till now and then what hasn't been done, which is the commissioners have not reviewed it and they've not made a decision yet. Because they have other things that are hot plate, front burner.
Yeah, if it becomes a private, that's zoning and all kinds of things.
Well, it's on a historic register. I mean, it just,
Okay. Well,
there's a lot of
there's
challenges
a lot we don't know.
around.
That
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah. I think if we know some more, we could help. I think private opens up a lot more uses, but so there's just a lot of questions, I think, about, what and if you ask the public, I'm sure the public has a lot of feedback, but I think having those parameters or at least some guidance would help the public as well.
Yeah. One of the things we have discovered is hardly anyone knows what the inside of that courthouse looks like.
Well, I have jury duty in a couple of weeks. So.
Nice.
Well, that's great because, that's
I can
about
take
as
some
far.
That's the only way you can get in.
Yeah.
That's about as far as the experience goes, though. And so there's two things that we discovered we're up against. One is that people don't want to go to the courthouse because the only time you go is when you're in trouble.
Yeah, or have
Or you're
jury.
reporting someone in trouble. And the other reason you might go is to try and see the interior because it is so beautiful. The details and all of that stuff, and it really represents a huge part of Oregon history that
Well, if you've never been up by the clock alone, you have to go up by the clock. It's pretty cool up there.
That's what I've heard.
yeah, they won't let you go up. I got to go up, but my
Have you
people,
ever been there?
I haven't, no.
oh my God, it is so amazing. And then to be in there with the mechanism and the bell itself
Yeah.
and peering out the window and
Yeah.
so great. Anyway, so a part of the problem is that nobody, people don't have a relationship with it that's positive, and so that's the other thing I would like to do is start to change that relationship.
But it's still symbolic, because it's on the logo, it's on,
Yep.
yeah.
It's
all that
everywhere.
stuff, yeah.
People in Germany know about it,
Wow, very cool.
so.
Okay, so how do we feel about Historic Preservation Month programming discussion?
So we have all the tours in the spreadsheet, that was sent out. So I think we've confirmed a good chunk of those. And then there are some that are not happening.
I have not committed to one. I did one last year, but I have not this year committed to.
And I didn't follow up with Lee, he's probably getting tired of me because I ask him for a lot of stuff.
So
But
next
never-
month, let's bring up that too, and we'll talk to the city about that as well and see if anybody from them was involved.
Well, 2 years ago, the city and Lynn Albany worked with us on
Yeah,
Historic
yeah.
Preservation Month, so I think we just need to reignite those
yeah,
relationships.
I agree. Yeah,
So that'll be
Albany does
good.
a great job with theirs too, so.
All right,
Okay.
do we have point people for all of this? So I'm guest speakers, who's awards?
Yeah, we confirmed that.
Who's doing
Awards, just, we haven't really committed anyone to that, but I did want to talk to the city at their meeting next first
Okay,
and see if I can commit and delegate someone from them to that.
okay,
We have also the owners, the current owners of the Henkel House, be kind of a quick little talk. You got Lee to talk to.
Yeah,
That's a
talk-
kind of a cool story with the building that is coming through, the second one he's got going.
it's the 5th.
He would be mad at me that I don't know what it's called.
It's like the plaza.
The plaza. He would be so mad at me for not knowing
It's the
that.
square and the
He
plaza.
wouldn't be mad, that's not his style, but
357
he would shake his
Madison.
head. He would just go, Bruce, no.
He would say something like, I can't believe I can keep it all straight.
Yeah, that's what he would say. Yeah, exactly. So there's that, so we already kind of had some speakers. We just gotta get them to commit, line
Yeah.
up and yeah, and then the courthouse could become part of it too. So we just don't know yet.
Can we invite Ann to our next meeting? Of course. I would love for her to be here. I've already reached out to Jesse Ott. I don't know if he's gonna have time, but I've asked both he and Gabe to please make room in their calendars for next meeting.
I had an email from Gilda Naziri, who I met, a community member, and they, sent me some vendors as well, and they said like, the bankers at Coldwell Realtor have a lot of contractors. Like, well, of course, yes, the realtors definitely have contractors. Yeah, we know those. These are the more specialized ones though, that want to oversee the munions and the bullions and the sills and the.
We should circle back around to Jesse
More
too.
pieces. Give me more pieces of an historic window.
Window vocabulary, we'll do is talk.
Yeah, let's do that. It's fascinating. So many pieces.
Have you ever had, Finley people talk? We had a chance to go out there and see Finley. There's some cool stuff.
Yeah, I
there.
think we have had Finley. We had the guy who did the buttons thing from Fort, Jesse's Fort.
Hoskins?
Hoskins.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so great.
Aren't there historic resources, buildings on Finley itself?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
So-
think there are, yeah.
Someone with the story of, some stories
Yeah.
of that,
We got
would be
a
great.
short tour of things in this.
Well, and we
History
also,
of Finley and the buildings on it.
the other resource we have is our driving tour, all of those.
We should be proud of
Yeah.
that.
By the way, Eric got me another draft, a couple days ago. And so I did want to talk to you all about what to do with that, because he says it still needs to be, basically audited for errors or additional
Oh, really?
information.
So like, almost like someone needs to drive it and make sure they
Somebody-
don't get killed.
And
And there's no dangerous turns and there's no things that,
it's been driven.
dead
it's
ends.
just
Yeah, we-
text.
We each
Uh-huh.
took a
Okay.
chunk and we
Yeah.
drove it, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so, what would you like me to do with that information? Would you like it to come back to you? I think Eric still has some more work to do, but, the county is a little displeased that it's taken about a year. Because this
Or
project is.
More,
Uh-huh.
actually.
Way overdue.
Yeah,
And it was originally with a different fiscal year's funds as well, so that complexifies things. But anyway, my suggestion is that once you have suggestions for the final, that we just finish it internally.
That makes sense, yeah.
okay,
Okay.
Have a little more control over the
okay.
final product and timing.
Mhm.
So is that something that we just put into our drive and you want us to then take a look-see and,
Right, or if you have a
Okay.
suggestion for other ways to get an expert eye on it to the point where you feel comfortable sending it to print, but I think that graphically moving forward, probably use Anne and her robust team
Mhm.
to finish it up.
Okay. That's an interesting transition. Okay,
I have another question. We're talking about OSU, and I don't have enough experience with this commission to understand the relationship between the county and OSU. Is
one of our commissioners is from OSU,
Okay.
Mario Polo.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
Mario Polo,
Okay. But,
Palo.
for this event, that's what I'm thinking.
We've had Larry in the past.
He's great, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he would be interested. I
I can
mean,
ask
they're
him.
kind of withdrawn a little bit.
There are experts on OSU history.
Yeah.
Communities
He's
that are
gonna do one
involved,
in the spring.
but the
Yeah.
university itself doesn't necessarily
But have-
extend their
Have we
representation.
asked it, yeah.
Maria Paula could be a good resource for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anybody wants to be involved.
Mario?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mario Polo, so she usually zooms in because she also travels a lot.
Okay.
But she's architecture, no, engineering,
I
architecture.
believe it's
Yeah.
I think she's an architect, excuse me.
What's her last name?
She's on our list,
Okay.
our list here, so it's Maria Paola, so M-A-R-I, that's the English way of saying it, not the actual one.
Okay.
Maria Paola, Reggio, Riggio. If you guys, have you printed off the new?
Yeah.
Okay, so do that as well, or put it in your phone or whatever.
And of course, the city of Corvallis presides over the Oregon State University National Historic District, one of 3 in town, so.
So-
That they're usually always, their cases are brought to the city and not the county.
Yeah, because I worked on the cultural centers on campus, so we went through the city.
Yeah.
So is it okay to contact, does that make sense to contact?
Sure, the city and county can talk to.
Want me to contact Larry too?
Yeah, reach out to Larry.
Larry gives a tour every year of the campus.
Yeah,
I know the other day he said he's gonna do it in May, I just have to ask him when.
yeah.
Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah, always Mother's Day. It's always Mother's Day.
Next weekend or something else.
Yeah.
It's Mother's Day weekend. Yeah, and then the woman who's doing the translations, the pieces where they're looking for older people to be able to read cursive.
Yeah, Natalia.
She's actually focusing on the Asian Oregonian compilation right now.
Oh, wow.
So,
You mentioned that in the last minutes in this November, I saw something around that.
yeah, so I'm very excited to sit down with her.
What is that?
She's the librarian.
Yeah, she's
the
an archivist, yeah.
librarian manager. Library
Oh, not the
manager.
archivist.
She's in the, I mean,
It was Natalia
it
Fernandez,
is,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
so,
okay, I'll ask her to.
and she'll know some other resources too. But it would be fun to have her talk about the archival process.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um.
And they've been doing more, more interesting things, trying to pull in the communities.
Mhm. Okay,
And Larry's currently the chair of the museum committee, so.
oh my goodness. Are we satisfied with this section right now, Historic Preservation Month?
Mhm.
Any last, okay, good. Items for the public? My daughter was here, she'd say no. Anything from Gabe? Did he send anything to you?
I didn't,
Okay,
however, I did not reach out to him proactively, so, I
Yeah.
did not know that that was
Mhm.
part of the thing.
Anyways,
Oh, 'cause but he knows,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, would you like me to communicate with him in any way? Or it sounds like you're already going to talk to him about the courthouse?
oh,
So Adrian, I just wrote an email to Gabe that I didn't send yet, that I copied to you, just asking him to maybe summarize the courthouse committee, if he could send us
so
something.
great, thank you for doing that. Yeah, send it, send it. Yeah, no, I bugged he and Jesse today, like, dudes, we need to see you.
Yeah, next month, but no.
So I'm expecting, at least one of the two of them to be here next month.
I'm also a superb pest, so if you would like me to.
is that on your resume?
Oh, yes.
That should be a title, I would hire you in a second.
It's just SP after your name, right?
Okay, then I will be in frequent communication probably.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, I don't want to get in the way or duplicate efforts, but I certainly don't want you to feel responsible for every communication.
I have a question when if I contact the people that have worked with Willamette Grange, in regards to the 6-foot tables at the May 20th thing. Well, how should I describe it? They're gonna be there and be able to hand out business cards and
This
say
is the
they
thing
were
at the
done.
museum, right?
The vendor tables.
Museum, at the museum?
So, yes, it's at the museum.
Because they have tables at the museum.
So we'll need to verify that.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do-
yeah.
we do.
That was
Do that
gonna
first,
bring
that's the
to-
easiest.
Yeah, that should be easy for someone. I'm hoping to delegate that, so we can have exact answers.
And they would
Would
be
you like
able
that?
to.
How many do we need?
Would you like that?
Yeah, I
John?
can check.
Okay,
with
what we'd
Jessica.
like to do is just work with Rochelle Hoffman to make sure that that
Okay.
night we have 6 or more 6-foot
Oh, is that
tables.
Rachel
easily.
Hoffman?
Rachel, Rochelle, I thought it was.
Rachel, it's Rachel.
Okay,
She's
spelled Rochelle,
she's
but
a board
Rachel.
member.
Yeah. Yeah, she's great. 6-foot tables, we need up to 6 or more. We
Okay.
know we'll need 6 or more. We may not have 6 vendors commit, but we may, and we may
Okay.
have 12 and they can sit side by side.
Okay, chairs?
They have chairs.
No,
They
well,
have a
it
ton
is,
of
But
chairs.
just, work with her on how the room will be set up, make sure AV, she
Okay.
has.
Can you send me an idea of what you would like it to look like, somebody? Because I haven't been to this before.
Not necessarily, Rachel's been through that a lot,
Okay,
but just,
awesome.
up to 50 people, 50 to 100, the room
Okay.
holds 110. I told her if we break 100, wow, never seen that, but.
Because it's
Yeah.
usually my job to put those chairs out.
So work with her on that, make sure AV set up correctly for multimedia presentations, slideshows, PowerPoints, et cetera. Band has room in the lobby to set up just like they did a
Okay.
couple nights ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
do
and
that,
just
so
be
I
the.
So then I would
events coordinator,
suggest
make
that
sure
the
it's all.
tables would not be in the main area, but we've had them in the hallways there.
Always?
If you use both stories,
Oh, okay.
there's upstairs
Yeah.
too, but I don't think we're gonna have that many vendors that we're gonna need the
Yeah.
upstairs,
Because
but
you don't want that main room? Is
the
that
main
what-
room is your auditorium.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh, okay.
think of that as the auditorium.
No
We
big
might have,
tables in there along the wall?
we could have one or
That's-
two, but it
That's where
just
the event takes
depends.
place. We have months to talk about that.
Yes, we
don't
do.
we?
So, but that
Yeah.
means I need to know what to ask her in order to find.
Well, just tell her we're in our early planning stages. It's likely we'll have 2 to 3 vendors in the hallway leading
Okay.
to the auditorium room, 1 or 2 vendor tables
Okay.
in the front where the band would be in the moose area. I'm
Oh, in the main
thinking,
lobby?
maybe, yeah, main lobby,
Okay, yeah.
or they could be upstairs.
They could be all in a line leading right into that room,
Cool.
that
Yeah.
long hallway,
Oh,
so
that's good. Yeah, that's not very many tables, so that's.
No, it's not gonna be that many.
Yeah.
easy peasy.
And then we're gonna need tables for our group too,
Okay.
things that we're doing. The historic tours,
So like, for
food,
how many, 2 or 3?
what's that?
How many tables for their?
Let's say up to 6. Right
6
now.
more?
No, just 6
Oh,
total,
okay, okay.
6 total.
They
And
think-
if there's
They're thinking
more,
of getting the tables outside, or does the museum have
The
tables?
museum has one. It seems silly to
Yeah.
bring them in.
Yeah,
they have a bunch. They don't have enough for filling the vendors, you know, that big space
Yeah,
with
fair,
vendor
fair.
tables, because we had to bring our own table for
Okay.
the holiday market, but they have
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
6 tables.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's way more than 6.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And
okay.
they already know what's programmed into the museums, so that will be something that we
Cool.
ought to work with.
Cool.
You know, maybe Jessica can spend 5 or 10 minutes talking about the museum and where they're
Oh,
at.
good, okay.
You know, and the 2 locations and the archive, the storage unit that they're inviting people in to see.
Yeah, there's
now,
tours, monthly
yeah.
tours.
So
That place is cool too, so.
I still haven't gone.
Oh, you should go. It's really cool.
Yeah. In terms of the art center, I'll reach out to, I'm actually meeting with, Erin, who's the executive director. I'm meeting her on Friday. So I'll see how they wanna participate this year, because they haven't up until now. Their building's cool. They have some big plans, but I don't know when the news is coming out, so I can't really say anything, but some big stuff is coming up for the art center, which could be really exciting.
Down by the park?
Yep. And really, the other thing I could do is reach out to the arts community, because some of the guilds have been around, like the Ceramic Guild and
It's a quilting.
the fiber, the quilting guild. They've been around for a very long time. So that would be interesting to have some kind of presentation from the artists who do the more historically oriented art forms. We even have broom makers. They raise the corn that you use for the,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be great.
yeah. So there's all kinds of Americana crafts folk. Tarweed School knows a lot of them, so we can reach out to Tarweed too, so. Okay, we're at 7:54. We have 6 minutes. Anything else from staff? Other than you're really great at just being a
This-
follow-up person.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this group since the very beginning, even though there's some different people in the room. I have a couple very tough committees. And you guys are collegial and respectful, and you're a great facilitator, so I just
That's
want
what
to
they're
say this.
supposed
Some committees are tough. Wow.
what's the tough one like?
Oh,
Which ones are
Don't tell us
tough?
which one it is.
Tell us which one.
not a chance.
It's a small town.
It is a very small town. Okay, the last thing is items from the HRC commissioners. Anything?
No.
Mm-mm.
Alex?
Right, I was
Alex.
muted.
Same old, same old.
No, nothing new this month from me. Thank you.
All right.
Interesting thing, though, we've been starting to get people contacting us, other entities, and saying, hey, Willamette Grange, tell us how you did what you did.
Oh.
That's gotta be
now
nice.
There's that's a,
There you
There's
go.
a topic.
There you go.
because that's valuable.
Just,
I think something like that, I think is really interesting to, you know, people thinking about starting businesses in historic buildings, or, you know, just kind of seeing how feasible it is, you know, and
Absolutely.
having somebody walk
Absolutely.
them through it, somebody who's done it before. Well, here's, you know, here's an engineer you can use if you need to do that. Here's, you know,
Right.
things that are really
Right.
important, you know, that kind of thing.
the most common question is it really helpful to have that scary National Historic Registry? They're all like Didn't help you.
And they're scared of it for what reasons? Because
I
of the
think it'll-
potential
it'll
restrictions
hamstring 'em.
they have on
Yeah.
their bundle of rights as an owner, right?
Yeah.
That's a viable concern, and
We
you know,
always say we didn't have any problems.
As a-
We felt it was a plus, plus, plus.
what's wonderful about that is, as a realtor on both commissions, you can honestly say that historic preservation, from what I've even seen in peer-reviewed studies from the East Coast, that
Right.
these national historic districts, that these efforts raise the values of the surrounding real estate in the city and the county. So
Well, you have to talk your neighbors into it.
it's a good thing. You have to let the neighbors know that it's a good thing. And then finally, most of the buyers coming in, you know, under an historic addendum of an historic property know what they're buying. They want to be involved in preservation.
Oh,
They
yeah.
really do. And that's exciting and that's fun. It's
Yeah.
cool to see. But then, you know, some of these houses, even in, you know, College Hill, you know, 1922, you know, the consumer now, you know, best uses. We're beginning to talk about that, you know, for some of these structures.
Right,
They might not be as a family's K through 12 residential house. It might need a different use, you know, whether that's, you know, a B and B itself or an Airbnb, you know, I don't know, you know, it isn't, you know, but yeah, that's all changing. Commercial,
That's something maybe you should consider
Fascinating.
talking about is
fascinating.
around homes especially.
It's fun.
Like just the use cases that you're talking about now and who's appropriate and who's not and what's gonna work for you and your family.
Mhm.
Or you as a single individual who's just starting to invest in homes.
Yeah.
That would be a great
It's-
presentation.
It's an
Slash
interesting topic. It's an interesting topic.
Okay, at some point, we need to write a book.
The consumer and the historic home under the national addendums, you know, historic addendums, you know, those are the things. You know, what's this addendum? Wait a minute, I thought I was just buying a house. Addendum.
Well, and even if a
This
building is,
extra.
even if a building is not on the registry, it can still be daunting for a lot of people to take on, you know, work on an older structure.
Sure,
When
money pit.
Especially, and
pit
even for
pop.
contractors, you know,
Mhm.
I hear so often, oh, you know, it's actually, it probably in the end, it would be less expensive to just build something new, you know? So that's, I think, one of the ideas that really works against historic preservation. You know, so I think just kind of helping people with the process that they would need to go through to take on that kind of work and show them that it's not that scary oftentimes, you know, is a great way to
Well, that
intro-
would be a cool talk too, Alex, you're right. I think that'd be a really cool talk would be when the owners are done, you know, with the Henkel House project and putting it into its next use. You know, to have kind of a forum around, you know, would this have been better as a tear down and a rebuild? Or
Yeah.
what, you know, did preserving this structure really enhance the community? You know, did it help? That's a good talk.
I think that's,
a good talk.
I think that is kind of what we're looking at for the whole season,
Yeah.
What a
If you're-
great conversation point.
if your blinders are only letting you see dollars and cents, no one would ever preserve anything.
Exactly,
That's very true.
Yeah.
Just a point of order, I don't believe anybody, moved to approve the minutes yet. I think we kept talking about them. So if somebody could please move.
I move to approve the minutes from November.
Okay, second, please. Okay, Janet seconds. Any opposition to approving the minutes? All those in favor, say aye. Aye, we are adjourned.
Does anybody, a vehicle with this on the back, historic resource, windows and restoration, and I just looked at their website here.